Welcome to Hi, James Dobson. May your March be merry and meaningful, even in the middle.
That one.
Welcome to I Hate James Dobson. My name is Jake. I'm a former evangelical turned queer sex therapist. And today I am once again honored to be joined by the queen of daytime talk shows, Brooke.
Hello and welcome.
Hi, Brooke. How are you?
Good. How are you? I'm drinking whiskey out of my Kevin mug.
I'm still laughing about puberty.
Yeah, because what the viewers don't know is that just happened 5 minutes ago.
Not even.
And we're not over it at all. And all we did in our break was say the word puberty like 5,000 times.
Pretty much. Brooke, I need your honest reaction. What do you think of my growing collection of videotapes?
I'm concerned. I'm fearful. I think it's hilarious. And I'm going to call your therapist and schedule you an extra session.
I don't know that I told him about this yet.
Yeah, maybe you should.
I probably should.
Jake.
Yes.
By this point, when will this air?
March.
Yeah.
1st, 2nd.
By this point, I will have gone with a bunch of my friends on a group outing to see the movie Wuthering Heights.
Ooh.
Which I've been reading the reviews of this week, and it is supposed to be hilariously bad.
Uh-huh.
One said, great for smooth brains.
Wuthering Heights, that last video double feature, Smooth Brains. Let it all slide right off.
Another one said it was written like a 14-year-old girl writing in her diary. Like, the reviews have been so funny. Incredible. At first, I was like, well, maybe we shouldn't go. And I was like, well, now I kind of am really excited to go.
I like Wuthering Heights, the book.
Yeah.
It makes me a little bit sad.
I mean, Wuthering Heights, the book, is a lot.
Yeah.
It's gothic romance on the moors. Well, it is, quote, Wuthering Heights. So it's supposed to be like...
I heard it's only like the first half of the book.
Are they going to make a second one?
I don't think so.
Heathcliff, though, can get it.
Mm-hmm.
You know who my favorite Heathcliff was? Tom Hardy, who I'm in love with. He's so cute. Mm-hmm. And one time I saw him on stage and I didn't even realize it was him.
Wait, in what?
He did a show at the Goodman that a friend of mine was in years ago.
Really?
Yeah, and so I saw it and I was like, that was good. And then years later, Tom Hardy became a whole thing. And then I posted about my love for him on Facebook. And my friend was like, yeah, don't you remember he was like in my show and you met him? And I was like, what?
Incredible.
Yeah. There's lots of debate about Jacob Elordi, who absolutely should not be playing Heathcliff. That's the weirdest casting
It is
ever.
really weird. Like,
Kathy can be, I mean, she's just like girl, like pretty girl. So yes. She can be played by anyone, but it's so bizarre. Anyway, I've hijacked this now, and now it's our Wuthering Heights podcast.
I will insert a clip here. Wait, when are you going to go see it?
End of February.
Fab. We'll have some time. I'll insert a clip here about your review of it.
Perfect. Okay. I bet it'll be so good.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
When asked for a comment after watching the movie, Brooke simply said, quote, "That movie was a turd, LOL." Brooke, when does spring begin for you? Is it the equinox? Is it a day? Is it weather? Is it a vibe? Is it when you have to take your first Zyrtec because your allergies are acting up?
No, my allergies act up in the fall. Spring begins for me when it starts to get a little warmer and meltier. Usually sometime around the end of April or beginning of May.
Interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
why do you ask, Jake?
Because I have this in the banter as a question to ask for banter. But also I hear beginning of May is a wonderful time for a wedding.
Is that when you're getting married? What? This May?
No, next May.
Oh, wait. I just went through a whole series of emotions. I already knew that. I feel like you were announcing something and I got really confused. Do you know that I officiated wedding and is Filipino? Mm-hmm. And I learned how to say a whole quote in Tagalog.
Wow.
And then I studied it for a month. And I had my friend who is Filipina, her mother helped me with everything.
Word.
And I used Google Translate to really get the dialogue or the dialect down. Mm-hmm. And then I got up there and I was like, okay, I'm getting to the part where I'm going to say this. And I was like, oh God, don't do it. They're all going to laugh at you. Like, this is embarrassing. You're just like a white girl trying to speak. But then I was like, I'm just going to do it. And I did it. And the family cheered for me. And my friend immediately translated what I said. So it So I guess he heard it and it sounded right enough to know what it was. And I was the proudest.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I can't remember it, but I can only remember 2 words of it. And sometimes I just say them to him. I'll be like, Pag Mamaha. And he's like, yeah.
Do you remember what it translated to?
Love makes a family.
Beautiful.
It's like from a cushion.
Yeah.
But it was easy, and my friend's mom gave it to me, and I was like, that's great.
You should put that on your in-session sign.
Mm-hmm. I did pick one out today.
You did?
Yes. Listen, readers. Jake and I had a little stroll the other day and realized that in-session signs that therapists put on their doors are all, I'm sorry, but they're all hideous.
They're very live, laugh, love.
They're very like wooden, like welcome to our countryside house.
Shiplap would probably be appropriate.
Shiplap, like lake house. Like it gave lake house vibes, right? And so I was like, well, my new office, which I now share with Karina, we've been calling it our apartment.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, we're better than this. We're going to get a better one. Mm-hmm. And I scoured the entire internet and then realized I was in a little bit of an OCD spiral over the in-session sign. At one point I was like, I'm going to make one. And then I was like, I'm going to cross-stitch one. And I'm like, how is that better? And then I was like, why don't you calm down, you ding-dong? Who's even seeing it? Who cares? So then I was like, it'll just be a piece of paper. Like I went on a journey.
Yeah.
I texted Karina and she was like, hey girl, will you just pick one out and let me know? She knows me. She's like,
God bless.
Yeah, I don't care, but you are probably in a spiral. Anyway, long story short, I did find the most simple one. And I sent it to Karina. And I was like, no cursive. Just get it in block letters. She was like, okay, I got it. So we are going to have one.
Good.
It's probably going to be ugly.
It's minimal laugh. It is a lot of love.
Jake and I were in communal awkward moods yesterday. What did I say? Die, cry, hate.
Yes. Die, cry, hate.
Yeah.
New life motto.
I was in a spicy mood yesterday.
Brooke, we have some very exciting news.
Yes, we do.
I am very excited to announce the launch of the official I Hate James Dobson Patreon. I generally don't want to do ads, I promise. You will never have to hear me promote BetterHelp or whatever. Launching this Patreon helps keep the show sustainable and independent and lets us better connect with all of you. So here are the details. The show will continue exactly as it has. New episodes every other week for free wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to give extra support to the show and get some extras, Patreon is a great way of doing it. The real highlight.
What kind of extras, Jake?
Great thing you asked, Brooke. The real highlight to me, the thing that I'm most excited for, is that anyone who joins the Patreon will have access to post-episode live streams.
Yes.
A week after the episode drops, the off weeks for I Hate James Dobson, we will host a live stream to talk about all the things that didn't make it in the show, things that I've inevitably learned since the episode came out, and to hear your reactions to the episode.
And will I be there?
If you want to be.
Sometimes.
And that starts next week. It starts with this episode, March 9th at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. You can do the conversions yourself. That's 8:30 Eastern Time, etc. And if you can't join us for the discussion, you will be able to watch a recording of all of the live streams on the Patreon.
Cool. Oh, that's fun.
But that's not all.
What else is there, Jake?
Right now, there's 2 tiers of support. For $5 a month, you can join the Brooke Club.
Yeah.
You get monthly blog posts from people in the I Hate James Dobson family. Boyfriend might be cooking up some cocktail recipes.
Nice.
Access to exclusive merch. A credit of your name on our website as a supporter of the show.
Ooh.
Bonus content, including James Dobson's Cats in the Cradle, which is already available on our Patreon.
God.
I don't know if that's a good incentive.
You better plug a little bit of that in right here.
And the cat's in the cradle, and the silver spoon, the little boy blue, and the man in the moon.
Nothing has ever brought me more joy in my entire life. That was one where I was like, I don't even care if people think this is funny or not. It's bringing me so much joy.
Boyfriend actively got a little bit upset with me for how much I was playing it.
No, I love it. It's so good. And the cat's in the cradle. And the silver spoon.
The way he says spoon just like lives in my head.
Spoon.
Anyway, that's all for the Brooke Club.
Way.
For $10 a month, you can be a certified hater.
Yeah.
You get all of the things from the Brooke Club and shout-outs in the credits of each episode,
Woo!
voting power on upcoming projects, and my eternal respect.
That's a lot of things.
It is a lot of things.
What about that tier where people can come to your wedding?
I have thought about including an extra tier for a lot more money, and the reward would be you get an invitation to the wedding, because weddings are expensive.
Yeah.
That may or may not be up there. We'll see. Go to patreon.com/IHateJamesDobson to find out and sign up for whatever tier you want. My loathing of social media grows more each day, and so I'm increasingly reluctant to be on your Reddits and your Blues Sky. But I, and sometimes Rook, will be on the Patreon regularly.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to connect and talk with you all there, away from all of the algorithms and the Elon Musks.
And I'm so excited after we record this for you to tell me what Patreon is.
It'll be great. You'll love it.
And you'll be part of the Brook Book Club.
Yes, the Brook Club.
Yeah.
If you can't afford Patreon, or just don't want to, that's also totally okay. I so appreciate you being on this journey with us. Just listening supports the show more than I can express. We love you very much, and that is not for sale.
Well.
I mean, you can buy my love.
Yeah, those sprites don't buy themselves.
That is true. But the love that I have for you, the baseline is there. You can only go up from here.
I paid a lot for Jake's love. Well, that was a lot of banter. We won't be playing all that.
Not all of it.
But there were highs and lows. We laughed. We sang a little.
I cried from laughing, but I cried.
I cried. I feel like we went through puberty together.
In the course of 22 minutes.
I am stalling because you've alluded to the fact that this is going to be a dark heavy.
Yep.
Oh.
And now, on with the show.
Or we could talk more about Heat Rivalry.
We could. We won't, though. A central premise of this blog is that you cannot understand this moment in American politics without understanding white evangelicalism. Today, I want to talk about ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
I know, but are you fucking kidding?
No.
Oh, God. We were having such a nice time.
We were. And we will, and I was going to say we'll continue to do that. No, it's going to be a bad time, but we'll get through it together.
I'm going to be really quiet so it goes faster.
I know technically there's a big mix of ICE and Border Patrol and Homeland Security all together. For simplicity's sake, I'm just going to call it all ICE for now. The lines between them is not the point of today. It's all ICE. I am assuming we all are familiar with the shenanigans of ICE in Minneapolis. Renee Good was killed, and then Alex Preddy, both in broad daylight with multiple videos showing in excruciating detail what happened. And then, almost immediately, the government labeled them domestic terrorists. That phrase, domestic terrorist, holds a lot of weight. Stephen Miller used it to justify murder, for instance. But it comes from somewhere, and the liberal use of this phrase could very well apply to this show. So today, Brooke, I want to talk about why it's illegal to hate James Dobson now.
Great.
That's a little bit provocative on my end. We'll discuss a little bit more nuance as we get into it, but it's not off base.
You know this has been a secret, deep-rooted fear of mine this whole time. I'm going to go home and get very paranoid and worried.
About ICE?
No, about us being arrested or pulled into some sort of weird thing or a brick through my window.
Yep.
Yeah, all right.
There are two parts to this episode, the rhetoric and the legal implications.
Mm-hmm.
We'll start with what they say and what they don't. Firstly, I want to note that by and large, white evangelicals are completely bought into this project of violence. This isn't me just talking about ICE because it's on my mind. White evangelicals are in the bag for Trump, and they have been for a decade now. Last April, for instance, Trump's overall approval rating was 40%, according to Pew Research. That same study had his approval rating among white evangelicals at 72%. That same study had 7 in 10 white evangelicals reporting that the Trump regime had good or excellent morals. Which, like...
What?
Okay. But it's not just Trump the person. It's pretty much everything he does. According to the Public Religion Research Institute, in September 2025, 74% of white evangelicals supported Trump's immigration policies. That was third only to those who identified as Christian nationalists at 75%, surprisingly close, not surprising, and the very top of the list was Republicans at 86%. 57% of white evangelicals approved of arresting undocumented immigrants without criminal charges, as well as putting immigrants into internment camps. and 52% of white evangelicals favored the U.S. government deporting captured immigrants without allowing them to face their deportation in court without due process. All of this to say, white evangelicals are in the bag for this authoritarianism. You cannot look at the fascist regime without looking at the evangelical implications. And why wouldn't they be? Their theological and political structure is built on hierarchies enforced through violence. With Dobson, we see this in the short term with spanking. We've talked about other things like the ADF or the HSLDA, all making that a legal reality as well. So let's talk about the evangelical response to these shootings. Specifically, let's talk about how the James Dobson Family Institute has responded.
Oh, God.
I think it's emblematic of the response writ large for evangelicals, and it stems directly from the vile soul of Dobson himself. I don't know if you've heard, Brooke, James Dobson is dead.
Yes.
So he cannot respond to this himself, and I think that is a mercy for all of us. But his legacy lives on. Gary Bauer, Senior Vice President of Public Policy at the James Dobson Family Institute, which Senior Vice President feels like a fake title to me. It's very corporate. All corporate jobs are fake. He hosts the Defending Faith, Family, and Freedom podcast, which is the official podcast of the James Dobson Family Institute Policy Center. That podcast released an episode on January 21st, 2 weeks exactly after the murder of Renee Good. The title of that episode was The Attack on Religious Liberty in Minneapolis, St. Paul. The episode is not about Renee Good. It's about the protest at a local church following her murder. Brooke, did you hear anything about these protests?
No.
Interesting. Let's listen to how Gary Bauer talks about these protests.
Okay. On the very weekend when many churches celebrate Sanctity of Life Sunday, and when our country reflected the next day on the life and legacy of the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., we witnessed an ugly and vicious attack on religious liberty. Radical leftists and Marxists stormed City's Church in St. Paul, Minnesota. This was a calculated attempt to intimidate and silence Christians. And so even though you don't live perhaps in St. Paul, Minneapolis, or even in Minnesota, what happened at this church affects every one of us that go to church, every one of us that are followers of Jesus Christ. This was a calculated attempt to silence us.
So was it a calculated attempt to intimidate and silence Christians? No. The protest had a very specific reason, actually, and it was not to silence Christians. There's a Southern Baptist church, Patui, in Minneapolis. One of the pastors there is named David Easterwood. David is an acting field director for the St. Paul ICE office. So a pastor, field director for ICE. And 2 weeks after the murder of a U.S. citizen, people came to protest the church to say, hey, your pastor's part of ICE. That's pretty fucked up. That feels like a pretty important detail to mention about this protest. You'll be shocked to hear, Brooke. It is not mentioned. And not only is it not mentioned, it's outright denied.
I can't emphasize enough that the main reason this happened in this church was not the immigration issue. That's the excuse that's being given, but it's not the main reason. A lot of the demonstrators that went into the sanctuary at this Baptist church accused the Christians sitting there of being Christian supremacists. Other demonstrators called the worshipers, oh, here it comes. I know what I'm about to say. I know you know what I'm about to say. They called them Christian nationalists. Look, they were just Christians. They were Christians that loved Jesus. And from some of the quotes that some of them made, they also loved America. That doesn't make you a Christian nationalist, whatever that's supposed to mean. Christians have loved Christ and loved America for the entire history of our country. No, this was a pre-planned, orchestrated attack on a church. It's what the left ultimately wants to do in a much more serious way and on a much larger scale.
They say immigration was an excuse, but actually the protests are because Marxist leftist devil worshippers hate Christians. Mm-hmm. I also balk at Gary's what even is a Christian nationalist. I have said before, I think engaging with these people seriously on their own terms is a mistake. I still believe that. Editing Jake here with a small point of clarification. When I say it's not worth engaging with, quote, these people in good faith, I mean professional propagandists like Gary Bauer. I am much more willing to engage with regular people like Brad and Janet about these topics because they are almost certainly coming from a place of genuine curiosity, not rhetorical posturing to win political points. I think it's important not to do a Dobson and write off anyone who disagrees with me as somehow secretly lying, and to point out when it actually is lying like Bauer is doing here. But for the audience sake, Christian nationalists believe that America is or should be a Christian nation. It is the fusion of Christianity into law and civic life. You know, the thing Dobson spent his entire life doing. We haven't talked a lot about Gary Bauer, and we will, but it's the thing Gary Bauer has also spent his entire life doing. And he knows this. He knows there's a definition. He's being obtuse on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually 2 episodes of the podcast about Minneapolis, St. Paul, at least as of recording. And the second episode, spoilers, it's not any better. Gary has the gall to say this.
City's church, I've done a little digging on this. They were not a church involved in politics. This is not an activist church. They're a Southern Baptist church. They were actually listening to a sermon, I believe, about how we should love our neighbors. Maybe somebody listening goes there, and if so, provide us some guidance when you hear this. But I'm not aware of any voter registration they were doing or telling people they, had to show up on election day or whatever. They don't appear to be interested in politics.
The church wasn't involved in politics. The pastor was a field director for ICE.
Right.
It's not a church-sanctioned job, I suppose. It's not part of his work with the church. But to say they aren't interested in politics is just lying. Also, hilarious to have a Southern Baptist church with a history of pretty strong political activism say, like, well, they're just not involved in politics. We can talk about the effectiveness or not of protesting at a church, or the legality of protesting a church like that. I'm open to that debate. Personally, I don't have that much sympathy for a Southern Baptist church like that. But I'm open to that debate. But to say it's not political, Gary Bauer in neither episode mentions that the pastor was a field director for ICE.
Mm-hmm.
In neither episode does he mention Renee Good or Alex Preddy getting killed.
Oh, yeah, I can already tell. In fact, when he's like, we were there the day after Martin Luther King, like...
Oh, put a pin in that.
Ugh.
The second episode came out on February 5th, after Alex Preddy was murdered in broad daylight by our militarized Klansmen. Gary Bauer doesn't say either of their names. He never mentioned the fact that 2 American citizens were murdered in the middle of the goddamn day. The way he says it, explicitly, is that radical leftist Marxists stormed churches because they hate Christians, and they hate you, Gary Bauer's audience. That's bad. This is all bad. This thing is the part that I had to pause and go rant to my cats about.
During the civil rights movement in the 1960s, led by Dr. Martin Luther King, Black churches were set on fire or bombed by haters trying to stop King's drive for equal rights for Black men and women. Now, that's worse than anything that happened, obviously, this past Sunday. But there's something interesting here and something disturbing. Back during the era I'm describing in the 1960s, those hateful attacks, those violent attacks on places of worship, on Christian churches, were roundly condemned by everybody, by the leaders of both political parties. The only people that defended that were outright racists and bigots that no one wanted to be around, even as far back as the 1960s.
What?
So I will try to be calm as I go through this. He compares the church with an ICE field director as pastor to the Black church during the civil rights movement. He also says, quote, those hateful attacks were roundly condemned by everybody. The only people that defended them were outright racists and bigots that no one wanted to be around.
In the 60s.
In the 60s. That is the most offensive and incorrect thing I've heard in a damn hot minute. We will eventually do an episode on the Southern Baptist Convention because I have feelings about it, but a quick overview. The Southern Baptist Convention was founded specifically to protect the institution of slavery. Baptists in the United States had a big organization, and that organization approved missionaries to say, like, yes, you can be missionary in our name. Southern churches, before Southern Baptist was the brand, Baptist churches in the South wanted to send out slave owners as missionaries. And the Baptist Convention said, we are not going to let you do that. And so the Southern Baptist Convention was formed specifically so that slave owners could be missionaries. The very first president of the Southern Baptist Convention bought a slave while he was president of the Southern Baptist Convention.
God.
And the racism of the SBC continued, and, if I'm being honest, continues to this day in a lot of ways. In the Civil Rights era specifically, the Southern Baptist Convention was the front line in upholding segregation. They said it was a biblical mandate to do so. To be fair, the Southern Baptist Convention did condemn the KKK. To be balanced, they did it in 1982.
God.
There is well-documented histories of pastors, leaders of the SBC being connected to the KKK, and even more broadly, of doing the work of segregation in a legal strategy. There's an excellent paper that I'm going to link into the show notes about this. To say no one wanted to be associated with them is such a fucking lie, and Gary Bauer knows this. Partly, he was alive at this time. He was in his 20s at this time. His whitewashing of history, pun very much intended, is meant to soothe the audience. We are and have always been the good guys. No one want to be associated with the racists, you know? Never mind the fact that the James Dobson Family Institute lost its goddamn mind over critical race theory for like 3 years until it went out of vogue. Now they complain about woke, with a hard R, if you know what I mean. Mm. Here's the pattern that Bauer establishes. He rids his opponents of logic or reason, even if he disagrees with them. They just hate Christians, that's their only motivation. He omits any facts that are inconvenient to his narrative, like the affiliation of the church with ICE, or the fact that this was in response to people being fucking murdered. We are the good guys with the big brains. They are the evildoers and radicals who hate you. That's the pattern here.
Who does that sound like?
Who does that sound like, Brooke?
The pumpkin.
Yes. We're going to get to that. We're almost there. Before we talk about the legal stuff, which involves the Cheeto in chief, if I'm going to be very 2016 about it, there are 2 short clips that I want to play for you, somewhat unrelated to this. The first is at the start of the second episode. Gary talks to some other fuckhead who I won't bother looking up his name, even though it would take me 2 seconds, because he doesn't deserve it.
You know, it's interesting as you were describing what happened at City's Church in Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Minneapolis, Somalia, and then they laugh. It's very revealing.
Oh my God.
It stands in stark contrast to the grandizing about the moral superiority of evangelicals during the Civil Rights era. I find that contrast stark in a way that I find no gratification in. The second clip, and I might cut this, is about something from our ADF episode. I'm just going to play it and then we'll talk about it.
You know, the media and a lot of the left has totally ignored the part of the law that talks about protecting churches because all they were interested in was protecting one of the sacraments of the left-wing religion in this country, which is the child sacrifice that happens every time a baby's aborted.
Amen.
Oh, God.
So, with our ADF episode, I had a decent amount of people pushing back on my characterization of the pro-life movement. In that episode, I said a significant argument in the pro-life movement is that the left loves child murder and it's a type of satanic sacrifice. I know many people who are pro-life for more grounded reasons than that. I'm not trying to say your grandmother who was raised Catholic her whole life believes that. But some really influential people do believe that. And it is more widespread than I think a lot of well-meaning people know. And Gary Bauer, who, again, we'll get into his biography at a different date, we'll say has been really influential in a lot of these things. Just said it. Just proved my point.
Right.
Okay. So that's the evangelical rhetoric. But if it was just some fuckers with the podcast saying stuff, whatever. We're fuckers with the podcast saying things.
Yeah.
We don't have the backing of the United States government behind us.
Yet.
Not yet. AOC 2028.
Yay.
That label, domestic terrorist, that is a pretty loaded term. Why did they choose that label? Well, rhetorically, it's dehumanizing. American culture is soaked in fear, primed to be scared of terrorists. We have a global war on terror. I don't actually know. Did we end that? Editing, Jake. I'm editing this on the day that we launched military offensive strikes in Iran. So, resoundingly, no, we did not end the war on terror. Terrorist is shorthand for someone who wants to hurt you. And by you, I mean your good white Christian family. It is a quick way to activate that effective override we've mentioned before, to get people to act out of fear rather than reason. And who wants to be pro-terrorist, you know? No one wants that. So call them a domestic terrorist, and you're free to do whatever you want to them. This is not unique to 2026 or Minneapolis or ICE. As Obama said, we tortured some folks. You see them as enemies, and it excuses pretty much anything done to them. Keep an eye out for anyone who claims they are trying to protect national security. That is a dead giveaway that they're probably up to some fuckery. But domestic terrorism has a legal definition. It is a crime that you can specifically be charged for. It's not just a term we can throw. I mean, it's a term we could throw around, but also has a legal implication. And this is really the crux of our episode today, in my opinion. This is where rhetoric turns into action, and fast. In September 2025, Trump signed National Security Presidential Memorandum 7. We will call it NSPM 7 for short. Trump does a lot of things. He signs a lot of executive orders. National Security Memorandum is a little bit different. From Ken Klippenstein, a reporter who broke the story in NSPM. Yeah, he broke the story in NSPM 7. Quote, an executive order publicly lays out the course of day-to-day federal government operations, whereas a national security directive is a sweeping policy decree for the defense, foreign policy, intelligence, and law enforcement apparatus. In NSPM 7, President Trump directs the Justice Department, FBI, and other national security agencies and departments to fight his version of political violence in America, retooling the network of joint terrorism task forces to focus on leftist political violence in America. The vast counterterrorism army, made up of federal, state, and local agents, would, as Trump aide Stephen Miller said, form the central hub of that effort. The way that I've thought about it, executive orders kind of like change the contours that we're talking about. This fundamentally shifts the resources. And so, how does it shift it? What does NSPM 7 say? It sets out new guidelines for counterterrorism agencies. It changes the definition of what people need to look for to identify terrorists. Things that indicate that. Sentiments that express anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, anti-Christianity, support for the overthrow of the United States government, extremism on migration, extremism on race, extremism on gender, hostility towards those who hold traditional American views on family, hostility towards those who hold traditional views on religion, and hostility towards those who hold traditional American views on morality.
Okay, so that's freedom of speech.
That's everybody.
Yeah, that's everybody.
That's pretty much everybody except for white Christian nationalists.
Right.
Do you see how broad that is?
Yes.
If you publicly ascribe any of those things, you could very well be put on a watch list as a potential domestic terrorist. There's a whole section that Ken Klippenstein wrote in this breaking of the story that is really well written. I highly recommend checking it out. It's in the show notes. But it's not just if you have done something in this realm. They are trying to prevent crime before it happens. Meaning, hey, we think you might one day do a crime, so we're going to put you on a list.
Are you trying to tell me that we're on a list?
We probably are. I definitely am. I've been to enough protests that I am absolutely on some kind of federal list because of that.
I have not been to as many protests. Somebody has some chronic conditions and it's hard to go to them.
My very first protest was Donald Trump's inauguration. I was in Washington, D.C. when he got inaugurated, and I was protesting that. And then it later came out that anyone who went to that protest got put onto a watch list.
I was at the Women's March. Did we go on a watch list?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. We tried.
Ken Klippenstein is doing incredible work. Go check him out and support him. He finishes the article in NSPM 7 like this, quote, I don't want to sound hyperbolic, but the plain truth is that NSPM 7 is a declaration of war on anyone who does not support the Trump administration and its agenda.
That's right.
Yes, it repeats the word violent over and over again to purport to only go after citizens who are moved to take up arms, but it also directs monitoring and intelligence collection to map and target the new evildoers, to borrow a Bush label he took from the Bible just days after 9/11. So although pithy and not technically accurate, it is uncomfortably close to the truth to say that it is illegal to hate James Dobson. More specifically, openly hating James Dobson may put you on a list of potential domestic terrorists. After all, James Dobson was the figurehead of the evangelical movement for decades. He embodied what the Trump administration would describe as traditional American views on the family, on gender, what have you. If ICE comes to your town and shoots you square in the face, they'll waste no time in calling you a domestic terrorist and imply that you basically deserved it. And Gary Bauer will be there to claim that you are a fallen Marxist warrior who laid down your life for the cause of secularism and anti-Christian extremism. These two sections, when I was writing them, can feel a little bit disconnected, but I want to tie them together explicitly. Here's what happened. The United States government killed somebody. They labeled them as a terrorist without evidence, and even if they found evidence, it would be from this list. Evangelical institutions accepted and echoed that framing, and legal infrastructure is being reshaped around that framing. I've said it before, evangelicalism provides the moral permission structure for white supremacy. Brooke, how are you feeling?
I hate it.
Yeah.
I'm feeling dissociated, sad. It's been very hard for me to I'm no special case. It's been hard for all of us, but it's been very hard for me to hear about these murders, which were murders. You know, ICE was in Chicago. We all saw them.
Yeah.
You know, and I have friends who are moms with kids who are trying to protect their kids while they're at school.
Yeah.
And who are on these lists, and they go to where ICE is, and they have to stand around the school so it doesn't get smoke bombed or whatever else is happening while their little kids are there. And when that happened, I mean, of course, I'm thinking about Renee Good and her family, but
Yes.
I'm also thinking about my friend and her family, who that just as easily could have been, right? And to think of that friend of mine as a domestic terrorist when all she's trying to do is protect her 8-year-old while he's in school.
It's absurd.
Like, absurd. And the fact that people listen to this and they're like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, watch ICE drive around your city. Watch the videos of what they're doing, right? It's horrifying.
The people who are listening to Gary Bauer's podcast are not
No.
often the ones on the front lines in Minneapolis or
Right.
Chicago.
Right.
The right wing generally, and evangelicals are a huge part of this, have created an entire separate media ecosystem, an entire alternate reality. I don't know that many of the people who Gary Bauer is talking to know all these things about Renee Good or Alex Preddy. I don't know that they wouldn't have necessarily seen the video. And even if they did see the video, they would see what they want to see about it. The cultural episodes we do can often feel really defeating because it is dark. Christian nationalists haven't won, but they do control all branches of federal government right now, and that sucks. It is super easy to feel powerless when militarized forces can kill anyone, American citizen or not, with impunity. And not that I need to, but let me make it explicit. The government killing anyone is abhorrent and a crime. It is not morally better or worse to kill American citizens. And I'm also sure that we only know like 2% of the horrors happening at immigration detention facilities. The entire thing is rotten, top to bottom, ACAB, etc. But if you need hope, look for it. Personally, I find so much hope and strategy from the community response in Minneapolis. The fact that people from all over have helped. They've shown up to protests like 24/7. They've done incredible things with mutual aid. They've formed ice watches that are super effective. Our hope lies in community. We keep us safe. We can't rely on the government to help us. The Democratic Party is going to ask nicely that ICE officers wear masks and call it a win. Republicans will laugh in your face if you get brutalized. But the grandma down the street, she'll make food for you if you're in hiding. The quiet guy who lives next door, he will go out and protest for maybe the first time in his life because what he sees is fucked up and he can't just stand by. I truly believe that most people want to help. Most people see injustice and want to do something about it, and will do something about it if given the opportunity. What we need to do, what we do, is build community. For protection, first and foremost, but also so that we can thrive. An addendum, it came out today, the day of recording, that ICE is ending their surge in Minnesota. Do I believe that? I'm skeptical. I also know that they will continue their campaign of terror elsewhere. However, this is a huge win, and it is 100% because of those in Minneapolis. It wasn't Tim Walz or the Democrats. It was everyday people on the ground fighting for their neighbor, fighting for each other, being a helper. Publicly hating James Dobson may be, quote, hostile to those who hold traditional American views on family. It may get me on a list, but you will never be able to outlaw the grudge in my heart. Come hell or high water, I hate James Dobson.
Me too.
Look, we ended on a hopeful note.
We did. We did have to take, the readers won't know this, we did have to take a mental health break halfway through this recording.
Mental health and vacuum.
And the vacuuming. Yeah, we had to regroup a little. We had to eat some more pizza Pringles and calm down a little bit.
Brooke, did you know about the NSPM 7?
No.
Have you heard about this at all? I follow Ken Klippenstein and have for a while, and he talks quite frequently about it. But it's wild to me. Yeah, anti-American sentiment, holding radical views on gender now might get put on a list.
I mean, can't that just work the other way too? Isn't that like, if you don't believe in trans people, isn't that a radical view on gender?
It could be. It won't ever be.
No, I know.
In the American government. Yeah.
It's so depressing. I think that the last few weeks I have been, maybe we won't put this in the recording, but I think I have been like, I need a break. And I know that's very privileged. I know. But I've been like, I'm going to have an actual like depression situation, because I can't just read anymore about people like you and me getting shot in the face on the street in Minneapolis. I think that's why I needed like heated rivalry in Bridgerton and like the Olympics and all this dumb stuff that I've been like, I need to watch some TV shows about teenagers falling in love, right? Like, because this is too much hell.
I talk a good amount about emotional dysregulation as a term when I do therapy. And what I tell people is that being really anxious is not in and of itself emotional dysregulation. Emotional dysregulation is responding, quote unquote, inappropriately to a situation. If you are struggling to feel okay while we see a fascist regime kill people, that is not emotional dysregulation. You're responding appropriately to a really fucked up situation.
I know. I've been telling clients, I'm like, I think I'd be more concerned if you didn't have anxiety right now.
Very that.
You know, like, this is a scary, terrifying version of the world. And if you came in here and told me that you were doing great with that, I think we would be more concerned.
When possible, I think it's not only okay, I think it's important to find breaks. I've talked about it a little bit in this episode, but like me playing with my cats has actually been like really good for my mental health. Watching Heated Rivalry and thinking about it and not devoting more time in my brain to listening to Gary Bauer's podcast, right? Like,
yeah, right.
Not only are those things okay, it's important to help us get through this. It's important to focus on these things when they come up. And like when ICE inevitably comes back to Chicago, I'm sure there'll be less time for those things. But right now, while we have the space and yes, while we have the privilege to do so, I think it's important to use that.
I agree.
And I also think it's important to use your privilege to subscribe to our Patreon.
Yes. I think it's important to use your privilege and your puberty.
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 I Hate James Dobson is a production of Red House Media and is a labor of love, or spite, written, recorded, edited, and produced by me, Jake. I'm honored to be on this journey with my amazing co-host, Brooke. If you're enjoying the show, please consider rating and reviewing it. And if you want to connect with us more, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/IHateJamesDobson. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Threads, Reddit, Blue Sky, TikTok, and Facebook at IHateJamesDobson. You can email us at IHateJamesDobson@gmail.com. We have merch available at IHateJamesDobson.printful.me, or, if all of that's too much, simply go to IHateJamesDobson.com to find everything about the show. Our theme music is by Mood Maze, and the song is called Trendsetter. Special thanks, as always, to Drew, Lindsay, DJ, Jack, and Gary. And thank you, reader, for enjoying our show.
This one's not as fun.
No.
I'm starting to look forward to the Dobson episode.
Oh, no.
At least I know the gist of what we'll be getting.
Mm-hmm.
Bad haircut, bad anecdotes.